Join us on a captivating voyage in search of the perfect blue water cruiser. From meticulous inspections to thoughtful evaluations, we uncover some true masterpieces. And then we found her. With impeccable design features and robust capabilities, she became the vessel of our dreams. Experience the challenges of finding the yacht of your dreams. Join us while we discuss our favourite features, the compromises we had to make our cruising more comfortable, practical and safe. Step aboard and embrace a life of endless horizons. It is our quest to sail into the sunset. So what were we looking for when we went to try and find our dream yacht?
Well, we wanted a reasonably big yacht that was solid, weighty in the water.
One of our first forays into the world of yacht cruising was a full weekend titled Blue Water Cruising, hosted by Berthon in Lymington and organised by the World Cruising Club. It was a mixture of presentations and practical demos and boat viewing. It set the scene for our search. When you do find possible candidates for your dream boat, arrangements can usually be made to view it via a yacht broker, sometimes by the owner, but normally by a yacht broker. Take advantage of your visit by asking lots of questions. Check the vessel advertised features, as we did, and then make a video of with your own commentary. Believe me, by the time you've seen 3 or 4 boats, it will all just jumble into one and you won't remember what you'd seen. So manual winches, folded back, seems to be under the cockpit. I tend to just mumble into the microphone, so these are examples of actual videos we took when we looked around boats. So I'll try and commentate on those, the features that I think are important. Always worth checking out the electronics on board for age and compatibility with other equipment on board. This boat had a lot of teak decking, so again, when was it laid down? Is it looking like it needs replaced? Now, this is a little feature but quite interesting, little plastic pellets on the edge of the hatches to stop them rattling and squeaking. It is important on a boat because every little noise at times can keep you awake at night. So this is an example of very neat wiring. It's important that the wiring is all labelled so you can find your way around a circuit if you need to find a fault.
Holding tank.
Okay, so holding tank. It's dry. And the front one is... Here we're checking under all the floorboards and in the bilges to see A, whether there's any water there, and B, whether they're kept nice and clean. It's a good sign of a well-maintained boat. This is the stern gland. Is there any water leaking would be a question in that position. What extra things come with the boat? Cushions, things in lockers, navigation equipment, dinghies, those sort of things. You've got to make sure that they're in the details that the boat's advertised as. This might be a hide sail, but I can't tell without opening it. Stack pack looks fairly new. Sails are an important part of boat's inventory. You need to look at the stitching on them to see how old they are, to see if they require changing or if they are suitable for the type of style of cruising you're going to do. So slab reefed. Yeah, mirrored saloon windows. Quite a lot of self-tacking jib. Most of the running lines look like they might need replaced. Steps going up to the bottom of the gooseneck, but beyond that there's no steps. Plenty of pre-bend in the mast. I'm guessing that must be the main hallet, jib sheet, sorry. Jib sheet, yeah. It was up there and then in the mast and then down. That's an unusual way of pulling the jib in and out. We're on the foredeck here looking at the area you'd be handling an anchor in. So you've got to assess whether there's enough space for you to safely handle the chain, the ropes, the mooring buoys and things that you'll need on that foredeck. Here I'm commenting on the teak work on the deck. This has been screwed in the outer areas but glued in the middle. A glued deck's better because it doesn't have penetrations through the upper deck, and so there's no places for water to get in between the fiberglass. It might have balsa or other wood products in there that can get wet and rot eventually. So a glued deck's better than a screwed deck. This, I believe, is a nice feature to have on a boat, where all the lines come back, handling lines for the sails all come back under this channel and under the bimini and into the cockpit, so it's much safer than having to come up to the mast and do work to hoist sails and control the sails. Lots of safety equipment on a boat is a good sign. You know, what state are the handrails in? Are they secure? Do they need tightened? Are they stainless steel? Do they have a plastic coating on them? What's at the back of the boat? That's normally where lots of the safety equipment goes. Things like dan buoys and life buoys, life rafts, and equipment such as this.
Yeah.
And the man overboard.
You're getting a few wives.
Trooper there looks a bit sad, but it's probably okay.
Two girlfriends.
The backstay
two
looks
of
like
each.
it's mechanical. Must be a handle in here that tightens up the backstay. The winch handle. Life raft, next service date, can't read it, so it must be a long time ago.
To see the documentation on the boat, you know, times when things are due to be serviced. You know, this may have been serviced previously, but you don't know. It's about £600-700 to get one serviced, and a new one might be £800-900 for a 6-man life raft. The outboard for your dinghy, is it powerful enough? Is it going to push the little dinghy backwards and forwards to shore safely, or do you need a bigger one? Remember, it's basically your car getting you back and forward from the shore, where you may be carrying shopping or other heavy items like water. As going to see a vessel in the Hamble, and there you have to get a water taxi out to a pontoon in the middle of the river. So it might just not be as straightforward as going into a marina and walking aboard.
It's got good saloon, and at the time we always used to be a party boat, so we needed to be able to sit lots of people, which we can do. We have tried it.
Since COVID, we've noticed that perhaps people don't socialise quite as much, but we have had a few people on board.
The cooking side of things, I wanted a longitudinal galley, which is going down one side of the boat. So you're still in contact with the saloon, so you can still have a conversation whilst you're cooking. You very rarely use 4 rings at a time. I mean, 2 is top whack usually. We've actually bought a two-piece halogen hob instead now, which I tend to use more.
Have a check on the soft furnishings, because the cushions and things are very expensive, surprisingly expensive to recover, and you want them in good condition. If you can open the zips up, have a look inside them as well. It's always interesting looking under the bilges, and there's an enormous amount of equipment under some of these bilges. People tend to take less care of that equipment than they do of other equipment above floor level. Access to this engine is via hatches on the side, close to floor level.
Do you actually have the telly?
Is it easy to get to your dipstick? Yeah, because we went to see so many boats that it got a bit confusing.
It does get very confusing. And
yeah.
Which boat was that? And which boat was that?
Where did we see that? Well,
That
like that
on
feature.
That one, and, yeah.
We had a list as well of ticky off things that were must-haves, and then we had nice-to-haves.
You're not going to get them all on one boat, so you always get something really nice on one boat, and you're not going to get on your.
Yeah, it's like a very much a compromise, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this is another oyster, this time out of the water. So she's had a good new coat of anti-foul. We're just checking out the bow thruster and how it shapes in with the hull. And something we like, which is a skeg hung rudder. That's a separate fin on which the rudder is hung from. Much sturdier than more modern designs, which have the rudder exposed to the likes of ochre tacks, which you've got to think about nowadays. It's worth looking at the rigs on these boats. Is it a tall rig? Is it a deep keel? Does that suggest it's a racer type of boat? Here we see a system for bonding or earthing of metal items outside the hull. Modern designs are moving away from this type of system, but consideration should be given to it nevertheless. What you see at the nav station is a good guide to how up-to-date all the equipment on the boat is.
Yeah.
Latest chart plotters are a good indication that the boat is up to date. So you'll see here I've spotted that this cable, this pigtail, is a little bit tired. Modern equipment and a new system on a blue water cruiser can cost you up to £15,000. This technical lock has got lots of spare tools and parts and things in it. That's a good sign. So I've spotted the generator here, but it's not a make I'm familiar with, so you've got to do a little bit of research on the internet to find out whether that's a good one or average. So lots of space on the foredeck here, teak deck, nice anchor there, delta anchor, chain looks good, the foil looks okay, and the drum for the foil reef system is okay. There's a bit of crazing on deck hatches, not a problem, but you need to keep an eye on that sort of thing. But yeah, a good winch. Looks like plenty of space for chain and things, which you'll need 60, 80, 90 meters of chain if you're going to do around the world. Deck space quite clear and open. Inner forestay fitting there. So as well as looking at the standing rigging and the running rigging, it's worth having a look just to see how the spinnaker pole's rigged. Is it one or two? Have you got any other aerials up there? Is there some sort of deck light? Have you got any aerials up there for things like television and other communications equipment? So the boat, we're sailing mostly double-handed, so there's only two of us. What things on the boat make life easy for us in that situation?
Electric winches are really good. All the lines come back to the cockpit, which is another good thing, so you haven't got somebody out on a lifeline, so safety is paramount. Again, we can stay dry and stay warm in the cockpit enclosure that we've got, and we can see all the way out, all the way around. We've got 360 vision around.
Yeah. Check out the main attachment points to the mast, make sure they're secure, all the pins look good, there's no wobble in them suggesting that there's any play, and the reefing system for the main, and this one is in mast reefing, and there's a winch here which you basically turn to reef the sail in and out. Only one winch on this, you probably need two for sails, 4 sails, and then one for spinnaker or other work. Have a wander along the line of the boat, see what else you can see here. The tow rail looks good. Just check the fair leads, there's nothing bent or broken there, they can be expensive to replace. And just the general lines of the boat, are there any dings or damage made to it?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to concentrate almost exclusively on something that, as I said in the tent, you've got to hope never ever happens. We're going to concentrate exclusively on man overboard. All right, there are 1,000,001 different ways of doing it. Now the inflation of the john buoy is deliberately quite slow. The reason it's deliberately quite slow is because you have to go and get it to stop it flowing away. The reason it's quite slow is because underneath it, as you'll see in a minute, there's a big keel which has to fill up with water. Alright? And the keel gives it lots of stability. It's the lifting strop. Alright, so when you get the john buoy back alongside the boat with the casualty in it, that is the thing that you attach the halyard to. The casualty is principally, not totally, but principally out of the water. So you can get it. So once you're in, just turn over on your back and you're in. So here's the first question. Are your halyards long enough? I actually don't use very much of a halyard here. We're going to try and do it all. It's going to take a long time. Oh, and by the way, if you turn you up, who's driving the boat right now? Of course, you can guarantee the person in the water is the strongest person on board. The bottom block. That means you can have a rest. While you're pulling the person out of the water, you can have a rest. if they're lazy end, if the person in the John Boy is compos mentis, give them the lazy end, give them a hand. Now, as I said, you'd obviously be doing this a mixture.
Chair. Yeah. So how did you go? Somebody pulled you?
Yes.
Winched you?
Winch and work yourself up.
Okay. And did you feel in control?
We went to see quite a lot of boats. Only in the UK, we didn't go abroad.
Yeah.
But we did look at a few boats abroad, but never actually got abroad. How did we talk about it afterwards, and how did we know what boats had what?
Well, quite often when you go and look at boats, you have somebody from the boatyard who comes to show you around. I tend to sit and keep them busy whilst Paul goes around with his video camera, generally talking to himself about, oh, this is this and this is that and whatever else. And then when we get back in afterwards, we can actually look through the video and the soundtrack and discuss what each boat had that we liked or didn't like.
Have a look at the carpentry and just see how solidly it's made. Is it going to come apart if you have to do some work behind there? Is it solidly made so it's not going to creak and groan? So Mary spotted an unusual gap in the floor here between the mast and the floor. Might be an indication of a problem. You've just got to check it out.
Comfortable.
I think the place you put the washing machine is actually in the back of there, out of the back of the shower cubicle. I think that's where you put them.
So don't forget to check the fire extinguishers on board. Are they all in date? This equipment's more up to date. I think it's very important to get the feel of a boat. Does it feel like it would be comfortable to live on? Checking out the engine bay here, I've spotted a fault with the lining on the inside of the engine bay which needs to be replaced, and that, believe me, is an expensive task. It looks like it's easy, but it takes a long time to do. We did it when the engine was out. The main electrical board gives you an indication as to what equipment there is on board and how easy is that, how logically is it set up. So we're looking at the steps here. How easy are they to get up and down when the boat's heeled? Do they have enough grips on them so that you don't slip?
Plenty of spare line in it.
Deck storage, very important part of the deck areas. Where can you put your mooring lines, your fenders, etc. Gas locker, important that it's vented over the side and that you can get the cylinders that you're looking for. This boat has the life raft and davits at the back of them. That might restrict you launching the life raft, so look at these safety things. You'd have to actually move the davit to get the life raft launched.
Okay, so some of the things on the boat are good. Are the bases to the beds are very comfortable. They've all got good bases. I've tended to put like throw covers over the seats just to generally keep them clean. We even got carpet fitted because in the winter or in the cold there's nothing worse than padding around on a wooden floor with cold feet. I think they will come up when we actually go to warmer climes.
And the deck is...
And the deck is brilliant. It's a teak deck. I tend to clean it once a year and then I put Semco on it maybe a couple of times a year to seal it. The only bad thing I would say about a teak deck is in hot weather it is horrendously hot to walk on.
So this is a big tick for the boat, electric sail handling winches, but unfortunately the halyard winches are manual, so you're going to have to crank on those. So this is a mid-cockpit boat, so you're relatively high up, quite safe. You can see quite a lot from here. Look at the position of the controls. You mustn't reach through the wheel for these, it's dangerous. Reach over the wheels for the controls. Check out the height. Can you see over the spray hood ahead? This is especially important during docking and close manoeuvres. Canvas work on this boat looks lovely. It's very new, very fresh. But if it's tired and old, it can be expensive to replace. So would high engine hours be a deal killer for you? Can you actually do the work to replace it yourself? Could you get somebody to do it at reasonable cost? This engine sounds okay, but it would be worth getting oil samples taken to see if there's any metallic particles in it, which is a measure of wear.
Yeah.
So 32,000 for a 68, was it? So this is going to be about a quarter of the size. It's probably about 15 grand, I would think, for
I've got family boat.
I think it's worth checking out a range of boats, including boats that are out of your price range, just to give you an idea of what's available and what the quality is when boats are looking new. This is a beautiful boat, but probably about the right size, but a bit too expensive for us. As part of the weekend, Berthon gave us a tour of their yard, so we were shown all the painting and preparation work that they do. I think the weekend was well worth going to. We got a lot of information from it. We were able to see a number of boats and make some decisions. I think that's the main thing to take from viewing boats is you're
Just
never going
go to many boats and just
Yeah.
take many notes as you can.
We did hone in on a particular make and size of boat that we were looking for, and I think that helped us a little bit.
Definitely tunnelled us, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, modern boats, in some ways, are too modern because the storage on them is, to my mind, is rubbish. Whereas you've got nooks and crannies everywhere on these old boats, and it's less showy on the old boats than it is on the new boats. I mean, we've got superb woodwork on here, but some of the new boats are so what I call showroom, show house type things that
yeah, very
they're
sharp.
not practical.
Yeah,
at
sharp
all.
corners and things like that.
Some have, but some
Yeah.
have got rounded corners, but they're just not practical. They're they're just very, very modern, and
And we're old.
I don't know that because of our age has got anything to do with it. It's practicality, I think, that does it.
We did look, but not very seriously, at catamarans. Not really our thing. We prefer monohulls, but there's a whole conversation in there. We looked at some completely impractical boats. This is a beauty, but not really for cruising. And then there are some beautiful old classic boats that I love, but not practical for long distance sailing. Here's a slightly different design we were interested in because it's got nice deep gunnels. And at the time we had the dogs with us. And these sort of boats you see in the boat yards, but no, they're not going to be suitable. Plus, I don't know how much the engines cost to replace and drives on these things.
Fox's Marina. Does that side into it? Oyster.
oyster.
This was the type of boat we were looking for, an oyster, something around 45 to 47 feet, and around 15 years old, 20 years old, that sort of range. When we went to look at boats, you can get a look around at them in the marina, but you were quite adamant that you wanted to go out for a sail.
You need to be able to go out for a sail, because how are you going to tell if you get on with the boat if you can't sail it? But whether it's something to do with the brokerage people are not allowed to take you out, I don't know. But unless you put a deposit on the boat, you cannot sail it.
Yeah, we found that with quite a few agents who will take you and show you the boat, but as you said, won't let you go and sail it. And that's
No.
probably one of the
I mean, that's
critical
one of the
things.
biggest things. You need to know how it sails and if you're going to get on with it. But
So
unless you've got somebody who knows
yeah, or
who's got
has
one,
that particular boat, yeah, that you
you're
can
not
go out for
gonna
a sail
do-
with them.
You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We just went by the name Oyster, and we know it's a good boat. So
Yeah, and we've heard good things about it. Yeah, and we looked at videos and things like that. So
yeah.
she's quite a sea-friendly boat.
Well, she's been around the world, so she knows her way. And according to the last owner, she looks after you. The boat will look after you. You might get really scared, but the boat will look after you.
So having singled out the boat we were interested in, we made an offer on the boat, and I would advise not to initially offer the full price, see if you can get a discount on that. We put down a deposit, and we then asked to have the boat surveyed. That's a critical part of buying a boat. Make sure you get a good surveyor recommended, and you're looking for practical suggestions on what might need to be sorted on the boat before it's really in good condition. Offers are normally made subject to survey, so if you do find something major wrong, there's room for more negotiation on price or get the item fixed. So this is the boat being lifted out to have a look under a hull, and this was done in Troon in Whithaven. Survey was done over a couple of days, and he found a number of nooks and crannies where there was work required, fairly minor issues in terms of what we were worried about finding. But yeah, in some of the nooks and crannies he found little faults that we needed to repair, and we did those over the next few months once we'd bought the boat. Hope you enjoyed joining us on our quest for our blue water sailing yacht.
And I do hope some of our comments will help you if you yourselves are looking.
If you're just at the dreaming stage, well, hopefully the comments added some reality to your dreams.
But if you have any questions, don't forget to message us.
Since that time, 3 years ago, we've cruised over 5,000 miles around the UK and Europe.
We are currently in France with the wind in our sails and our hearts soaring as we navigate uncharted water, looking for new adventures and the allure of open seas.
Stick with us, subscribe to the channel, and we'll share more of this journey which has given us the freedom to explore beyond the horizon and into the sunset.
Bye.
Yeah, we're a bit leaning over as well, aren't we? Oh, we know it's okay. Smiling a bit.
Again.
Well, after 4 then. I'll count silently. Bye.
Bye.
1, 2, 3. Bye.
Oh, no.
1, 2, 3. Bye.
Bye.